Have you ever wondered what happens when the predator accidentally becomes the prey? It is a scenario so rare, yet so incredibly poetic, that it feels almost fictional. We are talking about the ultimate backfire, that chilling moment when a narcissist, out on the hunt for their next perfect victim, unknowingly sets their sights on a literal psychopath. It changes everything. You have likely spent countless nights trying to make sense of the damage a narcissist left in your own life. You know their playbook. They seek out deep empathy, vulnerability, and a big heart to exploit. They want someone who will endlessly forgive their chaotic behavior. But what happens when the mask they fall in love with belongs to someone with absolutely no soul? Imagine this dynamic playing out in real time. The narcissist walks into the room, scanning for supply, completely convinced they are the smartest person there. They spot a target who appears perfectly agreeable, mirroring their every desire with a quiet intensity. The narcissist thinks they have struck gold. They have no idea they just walked straight into a hidden trap. To understand this collision, you have to look closely at what the narcissist actually is. Beneath that loud, grandiose exterior, there is a terrified, fragile ego constantly demanding validation. They need you to react. They need your tears, your anger, and your devotion just to feel alive. They feed on your emotional pulse. A psychopath, however, has no pulse to give. The beginning of this relationship looks like a dark fairy tale. The narcissist starts love bombing, throwing all their usual manipulation tactics at the wall. And the psychopath simply absorbs it, reflecting back exactly what the narcissist wants to see. It is a flawless performance. The narcissist feels entirely in control. They are practically gloating in their victory. But here is the secret you need to understand. The psychopath is just studying them. While the narcissist is busy putting on a spectacular show of superiority, the psychopath is quietly gathering data. They are mapping out the narcissist's deepest insecurities, their triggers, and their pathetic need for constant applause. The psychopath does not care about the applause. This is where the subtle shift in power begins, and it is entirely invisible to the naked eye. A narcissist operates purely on delusion and emotion. A psychopath operates on cold, hard, calculating logic. They are not emotionally invested in the love-bombing phase. They are merely securing an asset. For the psychopath, the narcissist is just a very loud, useful little toy. Think about how exhausting it was for you to manage a narcissist's fragile ego. You cared, which is why they could hurt you. The psychopath does not care. When the narcissist throws a tantrum expecting a desperate apology, the psychopath watches with dead, unblinking eyes. They offer nothing. It is the one response the narcissist is completely unprepared to handle. For the first time in their life, the narcissist's carefully crafted illusions are bouncing off a brick wall. They are pouring all of their toxic energy into a void that refuses to echo back. The game has fundamentally changed. The narcissist is still playing checkers, trying to win the argument of the day. The psychopath is playing a ruthless, silent game of chess. You are about to witness the systematic dismantling of a false self. It is a slow, agonizing unraveling of everything the narcissist built to protect their fragile core. Because when an unstoppable force of ego meets an immovable object of genuine apathy, the ego shatters. Let us pull back the curtain on exactly how a psychopath slowly destroys a narcissist from the inside. Let us break down the psychology of this toxic collision. A narcissist survives by projecting their internal shame onto an empathetic partner. They need a dumping ground for their emotional garbage. When they hand their shame to you, you cry, you apologize, and you try to fix it. This reaction convinces the narcissist that they are powerful. They need that specific reaction. Now, watch what happens when they try to hand that exact same shame to a psychopath. The psychopath simply refuses to pick it up. There is no guilt, no frantic scrambling to make things right, and absolutely no emotional distress. The projection completely fails. The narcissist is left holding their own toxic shame, utterly confused as to why their favorite weapon just misfired. The narcissist starts to panic. They rely on predictable human behavior to feel safe. If I scream, you cry. If I pull away, you chase. It is a simple algorithm of abuse. But the psychopath is a glitch in their system. They do not follow the rules of human attachment. When the narcissist gives the silent treatment, the psychopath happily enjoys the peace and quiet. It is eerie. This lack of reaction starts to crack the narcissist's mask. They begin to push harder, escalating their behavior to force some kind of emotional validation. They will manufacture drama, pick senseless fights, and attempt to triangulate the psychopath with other people. They are starving for supply. But the psychopath just watches them spin out of control with mild amusement. You see, the psychopath understands exactly what the narcissist is doing. They see right through the grandiosity to the pathetic, quivering child hiding underneath. While you looked at the narcissist and saw someone to love, the psychopath looks at them and sees a highly predictable, incredibly weak organism. They view the narcissist's emotional outbursts as a tragic weakness. The narcissist's greatest fear is exposure. They are terrified of being seen as ordinary, flawed, or inadequate. They build massive walls of arrogance to hide this terror. The psychopath does not bother breaking those walls down. They just walk right around them. They subtly let the narcissist know, in quiet, terrifying ways, that they see exactly who they really are. Imagine the pure psychological terror of realizing your partner is not afraid of you, does not respect you, and cannot be emotionally manipulated. For a narcissist, this is a fate worse than death. They are suddenly trapped in a house of mirrors where none of the reflections make them look like a god. They are desperately trying to assert dominance over a completely empty room. The psychopath will occasionally throw the narcissist a bone, just to keep them hooked. A compliment here, a small validation there. It is the ultimate breadcrumbing technique. The narcissist, starved for their usual feast of adoration, aggressively devours these tiny scraps of attention. They do not realize they are being trained like a desperate dog begging for a treat. This is where the power dynamic permanently flips. The narcissist is now the one chasing the high. They are the ones obsessing over the relationship, desperately trying to figure out how to regain control. They are burning immense amounts of psychological energy just trying to understand their partner. The psychopath, meanwhile, is expending zero energy. They are just existing. Deep down, the narcissist begins to feel a creeping sense of dread. Their intuition, buried under layers of delusion, is screaming that something is terribly wrong. They feel entirely off balance, constantly second-guessing themselves. The psychological breakdown has officially begun, and the beautiful irony is that the narcissist brought this completely upon themselves. The turning point always arrives quietly. It is never a massive, cinematic explosion. It is a subtle, chilling moment where the narcissist finally realizes they are not the director of this movie anymore. They might try to pull off a classic discard, threatening to leave in order to induce panic. But instead of crying and begging, the psychopath simply shrugs and holds the door. That single shrug destroys the narcissist. It shatters the illusion of their own immense value. They realize they are entirely expendable. To save face, the narcissist will frantically backtrack, creating some convoluted excuse as to why they decided to stay. The psychopath does not argue. They just offer a slight, knowing smile. That smile is a razor blade to the narcissist. Now the psychopath decides it is time to actively play with their food. They start utilizing a technique called gaslighting, but on a level the narcissist has never experienced. The narcissist usually gaslights to avoid accountability. The psychopath gaslights simply to create madness. They will move objects, deny conversations, and watch the narcissist slowly lose their grip. Because the narcissist is already profoundly insecure, this targeted psychological warfare is devastating. They start looking frantically for validation that their reality is real. But remember, they have already isolated themselves and alienated their true support systems long ago. They have nowhere to turn. They are trapped in an absolute nightmare of their own making. The psychopath begins to systematically dismantle the narcissist's public image. They do not yell or cause a scene. They drop subtle, damaging hints to the narcissist's flying monkeys. They subtly expose the narcissist's lies with undeniable logic and a calm demeanor. The people who once worshipped the narcissist begin to pull away. The false kingdom is crumbling down fast. Driven to absolute desperation, the narcissist might finally try to rage. They unleash the beast that terrorized you. They scream, they throw things, they threaten completely unhinged vengeance. It is their ultimate trump card. But the psychopath just stares back with cold, vacant eyes, completely unaffected by the theatrics. The rage bounces off like a raindrop on cold steel. Are you quite finished? That is the kind of quiet, devastating response the psychopath gives. In that moment, the narcissist's entire nervous system goes into shock. They realize their ultimate weapon is entirely useless. They are standing naked in the freezing rain of reality. They cannot fight someone who genuinely does not care if they live, die, scream, or completely break. This is the exact moment the predator realizes they are the prey. The narcissist feels a primal, suffocating fear. They finally understand that the person sleeping next to them is infinitely more dangerous than they could ever hope to be. The psychopath is not playing a game of ego, they are playing a game of total psychological annihilation. And the psychopath is winning easily. The narcissist tries to flee, but their ego will not let them leave looking like a loser. They desperately need a narrative where they are the victim or the hero. But the psychopath anticipates this. They quietly lock all the narrative doors. They have the receipts, the evidence, and the cold logic to destroy the narcissist publicly if they try to spin a false victim story. The trap is now fully shut. The narcissist is paralyzed. If they stay, they are slowly tortured by a mind vastly darker than their own. If they leave, they risk absolute public destruction and the permanent shattering of their grand illusion. They are pinned under the microscope of a predator who feels nothing. The dramatic turning point has led to a dead end of pure despair. The collapse of a narcissist is a brutal, agonizing process to witness. Their false self, which required constant inflation from empathetic victims, is now rapidly deflating. The psychopath provides zero air. You start to see physical changes in the narcissist. They look exhausted, older, and deeply paranoid. The vibrant, arrogant spark in their eyes is completely extinguished. They start to experience severe narcissistic mortification. This is not just embarrassment. It is a profound, soul-crushing terror that their true, worthless self has been utterly exposed. Because the psychopath does not react to their tantrums, the narcissist is left alone with their own deafening emptiness. It is a psychological solitary confinement that slowly breaks their mind. In a desperate bid for survival, the narcissist might actually try to act like the victim to the psychopath. They might cry genuine tears of frustration. But the psychopath finds this display entirely pathetic. There is no comfort offered. There is only cold, clinical observation. The narcissist finally feels the exact same agonizing lack of empathy they inflicted upon you. As the consequences of their choice settle in, the narcissist's life begins to fracture. Their career might stumble because they are expending all their cognitive energy just trying to survive at home. Their remaining friends drift away, exhausted by the sudden, inexplicable desperation emanating from them. The psychopath orchestrates this isolation with terrifying precision. What makes this collapse so unique is the profound silence of it. When a narcissist destroys an empath, there is usually noise, crying, fighting, pleading. When a psychopath destroys a narcissist, it happens in an eerie, clinical silence. It is a clean, surgical removal of the narcissist's ego. The psychopath is dismantling them piece by piece, just to see how they work. The narcissist eventually becomes a hollow shell of their former grandiose self. They are highly reactive, deeply depressed, and utterly confused. They cannot comprehend how they lost control so completely. They spend their days walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering the cold, silent wrath of their partner. They have officially become the severely abused victim. Look closely at the poetic justice here. The narcissist spent their entire life demanding that others cater to their fragile reality. Now, they are forced to submit entirely to the chilling, emotionless reality of a psychopath. They are trapped in a psychological prison where their feelings truly do not matter. They are finally experiencing the absolute void of a loveless world. Eventually, the psychopath will get bored. The narcissist is no longer a fun puzzle to solve. They are just a broken, weeping mess. The psychopath does not discard them with dramatic flair. They simply walk away without a single backward glance, leaving the narcissist in ruins. There is no closure, no final conversation, and absolutely no emotional resolution to be found. The aftermath for the narcissist is devastating. They cannot process what just happened. They cannot play the victim because the psychopath left them with nothing but undeniable proof of their own inadequacy. Their mask is permanently shattered. They wander through the wreckage of their own ego, entirely unable to rebuild the false confidence that once defined their existence. This is the ultimate, undeniable consequence of their disorder. By constantly seeking to exploit the vulnerabilities of empathetic people, they eventually drew the attention of an apex predator. They played with dark psychological fire, entirely convinced they were immune to the flames. The collapse is absolute, permanent, and entirely a product of their own toxic arrogance. Let us step out of that darkness for a moment and look at you. If you are listening to this, you likely survived a narcissist. You might have wished for revenge. You might have prayed that they would finally feel the agonizing pain they caused you. But as you can see, their ultimate punishment does not need to come from your hands. The universe has a very dark sense of humor. You survived because you have something the psychopath doesn't, and something the narcissist desperately tried to steal: a beautiful, authentic human soul. You have the capacity to heal, to reflect, and to grow from the deepest wounds. The narcissist cannot heal. When their false self is destroyed by a psychopath, there is absolutely nothing genuine underneath to rebuild from. The brutal truth is that a narcissist's life is an endless, exhausting performance. They are destined to keep running from their own profound emptiness until they collide with a darkness greater than their own. You do not need to stick around to watch the crash. Your greatest victory is not their destruction. Your greatest victory is your own quiet, steady, beautiful recovery. Every single tear you shed over them was proof of your humanity. Every time you tried to forgive them, it was evidence of your incredible strength. They viewed your empathy as a weakness to be exploited, but it was actually the armor that ultimately saved you. You felt the pain, you processed the trauma, and now you are walking out of the heavy fog into the clear, bright light. Stop giving them your mental energy. Stop wondering if they are happy with the new supply. If they chose someone empathetic, they will eventually destroy it. If they unknowingly chose a psychopath, they will be systematically destroyed. Either way, their path is fundamentally paved with misery. Their story is a tragedy written in stone, but your story is just beginning right now. Healing starts the moment you accept that you cannot fix them, and more importantly, you never deserve to be broken by them. You are allowed to release the heavy burden of their toxic shame. It was never yours to carry. Drop it on the floor and walk away. Let the narcissists and the psychopaths of the world play their dark, twisted games with each other. You are entirely free. It takes immense courage to look at the darkest parts of human nature and refuse to let it turn your own heart cold. You looked pure emotional manipulation in the eye, and you survived. You are walking away with a deep, profound wisdom that nobody can ever take from you. You know the red flags. You know the manipulative tricks. You are now profoundly immune to their empty illusions. As you move forward, protect your peace like it is the most valuable thing in the world. Because it is. Surround yourself with people who do not require you to shrink to make them feel big. Seek out connections built on genuine vulnerability, not dramatic trauma bonds. You have paid the ultimate price for this knowledge. Now it is time to use it to build a life of quiet confidence. Let the narcissist fade into a distant, unpleasant memory. They are a ghost haunting their own miserable life, desperately searching for a reflection that will never love them back. You are alive. You are breathing. You are capable of giving and receiving real, authentic love. That is the ultimate triumph. That is the final, beautiful twist in this long, painful psychological story. You survived the storm, and now you get to enjoy the absolute peace that follows. They will always be locked in a desperate war with their own shadows, but you have finally found the light. Keep walking forward. Keep trusting your incredible intuition. The game is permanently over, you have finally won, And the absolute best part of your beautiful life is just about to begin.